holiday lays out so you can consume green drinks, tout your luck of the Irish if you haven't, and pinch unsuspecting strangers for not wearing the color green. We're also going to play baseball. It is the Mariners and the Angels, and no chance that you will be able to pinch the Mariners today. They are sporting the special St. Patrick's Day hats, and you can't get us either. Angie Mentink here, along with Ryan Rowland-Smith. St. Patrick's Day, this is a worldwide thing. So down in Australia, do you also pinch people for not wearing green and everybody's got green mouths from all the food coloring?
Of course, yeah. I've got the green tie. I think I'm safe. And Angie, we're doing the whole show in an Irish accent, right? Just to get in the swing of it, right? Okay.
It's hard enough for people to understand you.
Exactly. That's where I was going with
We're going to feature a pair of southpaws in our Lexus pitching matchup this afternoon. The Angels are starting John Lamb, who they signed to a minor league deal this offseason. And for the Mariners, it's Marco Gonzalez with the St. Patty's Day start. We've seen a lot to like from Marco this spring, but Ryan, if there's one area that he really needs to improve on, it's getting through that lineup a second and third time.
Yeah, it really is. And we saw this last year with Marco Gonzalez coming over from the St. Louis Cardinals. The ability to try and get through that second and third time through the lineup. Opponent batting average, 463 that second and third time. And it was really around the 60 pitch mark where the wheels started to come off. That fourth and fifth inning weren't too pretty whatsoever. But there's been a lot to like so far, but this is the time for Marco Gonzalez in spring training. If it is a stamina issue, this is that chance when that pitch count starts to climb in spring where you can really start going to work and getting that locked in, because if you want to be a starter in this league, you have to have the ability to get through that second and third time through.
Your Irish accent is so good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it really is. I understood everything. Of course.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Of course, I'm sure yours is better than mine. I mean, I slur my S's. I've got my own speech impediments to worry about. We expect Marco Gonzalez to be throwing to Mike Zunino most of the time, like he is today, but some starts he'll likely be throwing to one of the guys battling it out for the backup catcher's role. For more on Marco's potential battery mate, we connect with Aaron Goldsmith and Mike Flowers in Peoria.
Well, Mike, we know one thing. Mike Zunino is certainly the starting catcher for the Mariners this season, but one of the few parts of competition in camp this year for the Mariners will be his backup. We know Tuffy Gozowish, we know Mike Margema, David Freitas in the fold this year with the Mariners. What do you made of that three-way competition?
Well, it's interesting when you look at it because they're all a little bit different, and I think what it's going to come down to is where is Scott more comfortable? What does he need for the ball club? We'll start with Margema. This is a guy that was an infielder, a third baseman that is converted to a catcher, so experience-wise, he doesn't have as much as the other guys. He has played well behind the plate, but the biggest thing is offense for him. He's hitting .292 in camp, a couple of home runs, so they wanted to see him swing it. He's been able to do that. David Freitas, they like his defense. Scott Service was talking about him the other day. He's done a nice job behind the plate, being solid this spring, hitting about .250. And then the thing that they like about Tuffy is that he's familiar with all the pitchers. So it really is going to come down to what does Scott really want or need. Margema, for me, is somebody that's interesting because he can also back up at first base if they need it, and he's taking some ground balls there. But at the end of the day, I think this is something that will be decided probably the last day of camp.
Yeah, boy, really interesting competition for Mike Zunino's backup behind home plate. Looking forward to a fun one today. Mariners and the Angels here in the sun in Peoria.
All right, fellas, thanks. We got to get Aaron right out of the sun, too. We got to you shuffle him in, and we shuffle him right back out. All right, they each bring a little something different to the table. But what do you think is the most important thing for that backup catcher position to have? What's the most important?
Well, first of all, it's interesting. You know, Mike mentioned what Scott Service needs. Scott Service, an ex-catcher who was a defensive catcher. For me, it's more about what do they bring behind the plate. And what I mean by that, not so much, what they do defensively, but how vocal are they? Every time, in spring training, pitchers and catchers have meetings literally every day. As a young catcher, and the three of these guys are, they have to step up and be vocal in those meetings. They have to earn the trust of their pitching staff, and not just the young guys. It's not about taking the reins when that young guy's out there, but it's also that those veteran guys in that pitching staff, Felix, James Paxton, getting around them and earning their trust. And Angie, I don't know if you remember, Rob Johnson back in 2007, 2008,
yep.
But Rob barely got a hit in spring training, and everyone's like, man, can this guy's going to make the team? It's because he was vocal in those meetings. He stepped up and he took the reins, and that's what that backup catcher role is all about.
Yeah, and maybe to add on to that, stay healthy. That would be important because that's been a theme here in spring training. After a few years of platoons and uncertainty at first base, the Mariners were thrilled to land Ryan Healy this offseason, but a February hand injury set him back a little bit. Good news is Healy is finally in the lineup today. We're going to break down his impact when we return. First pitch is just minutes away. Sports is brought to you by Bill Corum's Puyallup Nissan. Car buying as easy as Sunday morning. And by Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. It's the Mariners and the Angels. This is how Mike Scioscia is going to play this one. Andrelton Simmons is going to be leading off. He is your DH. You don't usually see that in the leadoff position. Luis Valbuena is out at third. Albert Pujols will be playing first. Eric Young Jr. out in center. And Reimer Liriano will be to his right. All right, so, or actually it was left, in right field. There you go. So as for your Seattle Mariners, D. Gordon leading off. Gene Segura, Kyle Seager slides in there. Robinson Cano still nursing that sore hamstring. No Nelson Cruz either. Ryan Healy, fantastic to see him in the lineup. More on him in a second. Zanino, Daniel Vogelbach is your DH. And Junior Lake is going to be out in left field. All right, so with Ryan Healy back in the lineup for the first time this spring, here's a reminder of what he's done through the first year and a half of his Major League career. He burst onto the scene in 2016, hitting .305 with 13 home runs, then banged out 25 long balls last year. Ryan, what does this guy bring to the Mariners table?
Well, first of all, by far my favorite move in the Mariners offseason was picking up a guy like Ryan Healy. He really fits right into that idea of having this young core, being impact players right away, and that's exactly what he is. He joins Ben Gamel and Heredia and Mitch Haniger to be that young core. Guys who are going to stick around for a long time, but at 26 years old this year, he already banged out 25 home runs like you talked about. That's huge. And also too, to have some stability at that first base spot. But it's so important. This is the time of year. If you're going to have those little niggling injuries, like we've seen a lot of them in camp, this is the time of year to have him. It's good to see him back out there because he's going to be a big impact right away.
He's so solid over at first base. A huge target. I mean, as an infielder or even a pitcher. I mean, pitchers never have problems throwing over to first base. But, exactly. Just a nice, big target. But the nice thing is also they've been able to see a couple of other guys with the injury. I mean, if there's an upside. Yeah,
and there is an upside. Obviously, Daniel Vogelbach, a guy who came over. There was a lot of pressure on him coming over. It was a big move. It was a big acquisition, and I felt like he was pressing a lot early on. He was trying to impress. And all of a sudden now he has that, that mentality where it's like he's got nothing to lose. And he looks very comfortable in the batter's box. He's just letting the game come to him. So that's really good to see. And another guy too, Mike Ford, the Rule 5 pick, a chance for him to audition right now to get one of those spots on the 25-man roster.
Yeah, split squad. He is actually over starting at first base in the other game. Let's get you down to Peoria right now, though, and check in with Aaron Goldsmith and Mike Blowers. Guys.
All right, Angie, Ryan, thank you so much. It is a gorgeous day for baseball here in the Cactus League. The Mariners and the Angels of Anaheim getting set. And, Mike, it's nice to be playing under the sunshine as opposed to the lights for a little change.
A couple of days in a row. Really nice, yes. Beautiful day, probably about 70 degrees out.
It's a very familiar foe today with the Angels and Mike Scioscia in town. Oh boy, good to see Marco Gonzalez up on the mound after a scary incident his last time out on Monday, taking a line drive. You can see the wrap right above his glove hand.
The good news is it wasn't his throwing hand, so I didn't feel that he was going to miss much time at all. He's had a good spring so far, a 1.69 ERA for him in 10 2/3. Giving up 9 hits, has 10 strikeouts.
Facing Andrelton Simmons to lead things off for the Angels. Normally at shortstop, today DHing. In his bullpen immediately following being hit by the line drive, he had the star quarterback treatment, Mike, where someone else caught the throw from the catcher, handed him the ball, and then he threw it back.
Was it you?
They wouldn't trust me with that.
I suppose that makes sense.
Which part, the not trusting or the game plan for Marco?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
1-2 on Simmons. Off the right side, Gordon Beckham getting the start at second base. Good to see Ryan Healy in the lineup today, making his springtime debut.
It's great to see him in the lineup. Last few days taking some batting practice and finally been able to get out on the field. Scott this morning was saying that he'll get 2, possibly 3 at bats depending on how the game goes today.
And steps Valbuena, 1 out, nobody on, top of the first.
I thought one of the things that was interesting regarding Healy this morning when Scott was talking about him is you think of the hand injury and working his way back from that. And so when people were asking if he was going to be in the lineup every day because he's missed so much time. And Scott said no. And, you know, you would think that maybe, rather than the shift, that maybe because you want to give his hand a break. But he said no, it was more for his legs, and they didn't want him because they're trying to speed things up and get him so many at-bats quickly that he injures himself again.
Interesting. Take another look at this to Beckham. And Mike, I don't know the last time that we wrote down in a scorebook Albert Pujols first base.
Yeah, it seems it's been quite a while, a few years at least. And I'll be curious to see how that works out. Aaron, as we both know, he's had so many injuries, especially with his legs and his feet. Now he's going to have to go play in the field, and we'll see how long all of that lasts. And he's going to DH a little bit more. Again, that's where he's been the last few years as a DH.
All is because of Ohtani, of course.
Was it yesterday? He had a tough day on the mound, Ohtani.
Yeah, they have. It has not been glowing reports about Shohei Ohtani in some regards, and even some thoughts as to trying to get him some more reps in AAA. But the idea of, and we knew this would be the case, when you think about a two-way player, especially somebody who's never played in this country before, that is a daunting task and not something that is easily achievable maybe right out of the gates.
No, I think that we would all agree on that. And so we'll see what the end result will be for him, but it has been a bit of a struggle here in spring.
Two outs, nobody on, 2-2 to Pujols. Count pushes full, has, how about this infield alignment, Mike?
Seen Marco so far throwing the cutter inside to him, so they expect him to pull the ball.
2-out walk. Two outs and a man aboard for Rene Rivera doing the catching today for the Angels. Batting cleanup. A very topical snow cone today. Good day to be out on the berm. Just a beautiful day here in Peoria. Here is Rivera. Now, for the most part, this week is supposed to be pretty cool. This upcoming week, I should say, here in the desert. Temperatures in the low 70s right now.
And a pretty good breaking ball. Mentioned the cutter for Marco. That is a pitch that he was not able to use last year. Last year, his first year back from Tommy John surgery. But he's thrown the cutter quite a bit this spring, and you'll see him use it during the season to set up hitters for his changeup. A good crowd here today, Aaron.
Yeah, for good reason. Some Angels fans in the house, but mostly all Mariners fans. The 1-2. Up and in. Now, Marco had a pretty taxing first inning his last time out against the White Sox. This one can be a little bit shorter. Still approaching 20 pitches, though. Gets Rivera. Works around that 2-out walk to Pujols. A half inning in the books. Angels scoreless, and the Mariners coming up. Perfect day on the berm here inside the Peoria Sports Complex. 0-0 as we go to the bottom of the first. Mariners lead things off today with center fielder D. Gordon. Let's take a look at John Lamb, 27-year-old. At one point, a really highly touted prospect in the minors with the Royals. Made his way over to the Reds in the Cueto deal. And trying to latch back on again with the Angels. 24 career big league starts, none last year, however. And here is D. Gordon. Lamb's 1-1. Looped into left field. Could not find it in the sun all the way to the corner. And Gordon cruises into second base.
Awfully close to a fair ball.
Go back and do it again. Almost got a sun double out of this. Boy, almost kicked up some chalk. So make it 1-2. Down on strikes. Boy, Segura steps in here. He returned yesterday, Mike. That was good to see. Went 3 for 3. Also drove in a couple of runs. Gene left the game a couple of nights ago against the A's with some hamstring tightness, but good to see him back in the lineup.
Yeah, his leg injuries have been an issue for the entire club, it seems like, but he swung the bat extremely well yesterday. Used the entire field. Had a line drive into right, hit the ball hard into left field.
Mariners getting some pretty encouraging news on the injury front. Cano and Cruz hitting in the cage today. That's good to see. Ichiro taking part in a full team workout. Of course, Ichiro with a little bit of a calf issue.
Sounded like it's going to be probably Wednesday to get those guys back in the lineup. The Mariners have an off day on Tuesday, so I think with the scheduled off day, they didn't want to push it to Monday when they get that extra day in there. So it sounded as if those guys will be back hopefully Wednesday.
Well, you know, it's been that kind of spring training when you start talking about off days in spring to get guys healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been like for the Mariners, especially over the last week, it seems.
Well, I think with a lot of them, if it was the regular season, we would probably know that they have an issue, but they would probably stay in the lineup and play. there's no reason to do that here in spring training.
Strike 3 called. Back-to-back strikeouts by Lamb. That brings up Kyle Seager. Now, Seager was pretty forthcoming in some recent comments he made about last season, and although certainly not a bad year for Seager, it was not the typical Kyle Seager year. And Mike saying that he never felt comfortable with his swing leaving spring training and never felt like he really got that groove at any point over the course of last year.
I can remember in spring training last year, and he was working on a few things and was really frustrated in the batting cage. Just couldn't really, as you were talking about, find it, wasn't feeling it. And we were probably more than halfway through the spring. And so I understand what he's talking about. And for Kyle, he constantly makes changes anyway. But it's pretty rare to have somebody of his stature, a player of his stature, just never quite get comfortable. Sometimes it'll come and go. Maybe you have it just for a short period of time, but to never feel completely comfortable is a little bit strange. So it'll be interesting to see where he's at the end of camp. By the way, he's had a good spring this year.
For sure. Two outs, nobody on, bottom of the first inning. Boy, Lamb strikes out the side in order. Quick bottom of the first, an inning complete. We're scoreless. Scoreless as we open up the top of the second. We go down to the Mariners dugout and we say hello to Nick Vincent. Nick, it's good to see you, man. Good to see you healthy and back up on the mound. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. You know, it's good to get back out there, throw the ball. Getting some pretty quick outings, so that's nice. But also, I want to kind of get some pitches built up, so I'm ready for season.
You've had a couple innings so far, Nick. Is there a number that you would like to see by the time you break camp as far as the innings that you work?
Innings doesn't really matter on the inning. It's more just getting the pitch count up a little bit because, you know, when it goes into the season, you're not going to go out there and throw 9-10 pitches every time. And it's nice when you do, but a couple outings, I'm just going to have to maybe put a guy on or something and work out of some jams.
Will you have a day where you go out and pitch a couple of innings, go in the dugout, sit down and get back up and go back out there again? Is that something that you might do?
Probably not. We're just trying to get I think we only got like 3 more outings. So just get the outings in, get 3 innings, and then just be ready for season.
This hops foul. Nick, I mean, the goatee it's barely there, man. I mean, last year it was down to the top button. I mean, are we starting from scratch this year?
We started from scratch last year. We're going to start from scratch this year. It's a new year, so I trimmed it down and getting it shaped right now.
Hey, last year was really another fantastic year for you, Nick. It's funny to think back and Mike and I have talked about this from time to time. It was near the end of spring training, and all of a sudden, here's Nick Vincent. He just kind of shows up on the Mariners' doorstep, walks across the parking lot from the Padres side to the Mariners side. You have put together really, truly strong campaigns in a Mariners uniform. What has worked so well for you since coming to Seattle?
Well, the first year was a learning year for me going to the AL. So just learning, not trying to be too cute with pitches and trying to, put guys away with certain pitches. And it's more just sticking to your strengths and sticking to the scouting reports. I've learned just going from the first year I gave up 11 home runs to last year I gave up 2. I stuck with the strengths, and it's pretty much just stay with that game plan. Don't try to get cute with stuff and kind of overthink it. So yeah, I was just learning the first year, and just for me it's always just going out and attacking. No matter if it's in the NL, AL, whatever, it's go out there, attack, get in the inning, get out of the inning as quick as possible, let the hitters get out there and try to score some more runs.
Nick, I know the one thing that the Mariner fans know about you is when that phone rings, you'll take the ball anytime. But I've also had a couple of conversations with Scott, and he's told me a couple different times that maybe they've overused you a little bit. Have they talked to you about what the game plan is going to be this year? You guys have an awfully strong bullpen, and how you're going to be used, and when you need a day off, how you're going to get it.
We haven't really talked too much about it right now. I mean, I think they're getting ready for the kind of cutting the roster down to the 25-man guys. But I mean, our bullpen's deep this year. We got me, Felt, Zepp, Nicasio, Altavilla, Diaz.
Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty stacked up this year. So it's going to make it a little bit easier for him, I think, to match up and do what he wants to do. And then, like I said, if a guy needs a day, other guys will be able to step up and fill that role. So I think we're in a very good spot right now.
Obviously, Diaz is going to close, but is there a particular role you like out in the bullpen, or just you get up when they ask you to?
I'll get up when they ask me to. It's, for me, role, no role, it doesn't really matter. Just kind of going out there and knowing, just having an idea when you're going to pitch is probably the best thing for me, just so you know when to stretch and do your routine stuff. Right. But like I said, I just, whatever do to help this team win is what I want to do.
Did this stat ever make its way down to you, Nick? This stat from a couple of years ago that the only guy who got more swings and misses, oh boy, good play here by Segura. Healy with the pick for round number 2. Really nice work up the middle by the Mariners. Did this stat ever make its way down to you, Nick, that a couple of years ago, the only guy who got more swings and misses on his fastball in the major leagues was Aroldis Chapman than
Yeah,
you?
I did see that last offseason it came out. And, I mean, it shows you, like, the baseball, like anybody can go out there and not have even similar stuff, but have the same success as somebody else. So, and I think that's what makes baseball awesome, is everybody's different. Everybody throws different pitches. Everybody throws from 90 to pretty much 100, and it's kind of a mind-boggling stat because, I mean, the top 5 guys were all guys that threw hard, and there's me in there. So it's kind of defying the odds, I guess you want to say. But I mean, it's pretty cool.
So when you self-scout, how do you explain that?
Self-scout, what do you mean by that?
when you take a look at how you go about your work on the mound, and you mentioned how hard these other guys throw, is Beckham belly flop, stops and throws on a first base. We'll have to wrap things up, Nick, here, but can you explain exactly how it is you get so many swings and misses?
I can't. It's something I do in my mechanics. It's deception or something. I guess I hide the ball. It's just using my fastball off my cutter is mainly it. I think everybody sets cutter, and then it's pretty much sometimes fastballs are supposed to be down the way, and they go up and in and swing and miss. So it is what it is.
Nick, good stuff, man. Good talking to you.
Stay healthy.
Thank you, guys.
We're scoreless. We start things off in the bottom of the second inning. A one-hopper off the lower half of Coward at second base. Good to see Ryan Healy, his first spring training at bat, gets aboard.
Call that an error. I'd like to give him a hit on that. So his first at bat of the spring, squares it up, solid line drive right at the second baseman. Gets kind of an in-between hop and just eats him up. You can see the ball slicing.
Healy aboard for Mike Zunino. Boy, it was good to talk with Nick Vincent a little bit. Good to see him healthy. We were saddened that it was the quickest inning in Cactus League history.
It seemed like it.
We know that Nick works quickly, so maybe it shouldn't have come as a surprise. Popped up off the hands and foul. You know, Mike, you're talking about Marco Gonzalez today and his cutter, how effective it has been. Of course, we know that that is one of the bread and butter pitches for Nick Vincent.
Yes.
If you're not throwing a cutter now, man, you're not trying, right?
Well, I think that a lot of guys try to throw the cutter, but I think when you talk about the cut fastball, I think Nick's cut fastball is a real cut fastball. Some of them are kind of a short slider more. You can see the ball spinning a little bit more, which is not what you want to do with the cutter.
Zunino up into the breeze. Zunino with carry and off the batter's eye for a home run. Two-run blast, Mike Zunino. The Mariners take the lead.
And for Mike, his second home run of the spring. Came into the game hitting an even 300. This is straight away. You can see the leg kick he started using the second half of last year. And just tremendous power from Mike.
There's Vogelback looking at strike one. So there are different forms of a cutter is what you're saying.
Yes. It's, I guess, one of the great examples, and I get a chuckle out of it every time, but when you look at Paxton, have the debate whether it's a slider or a cutter. You ask Scott Service, he'll tell you that it's a slider, and James prefers to call it a cutter.
Well, and, you know, we talked to James about that, and James said, no, I know that it's a slider, but I have to tell myself it's a cutter because of his mechanics of his delivery. And even when he's not pitching, he still has to call it that for some reason to keep him. It's like he's in character the whole time.
It works, though, whatever.
It really does.
Yeah. I think you asked Nick the question before we ended up going to commercial break. And I think that there's definitely deception. I've talked to him about it in the past. There's deception to his delivery, and I think the cut fastball also, the spin rate at which he has it, I think it just gets on guys. And it's rare that you see anybody time it correctly. So I think there's the combination of those two things is the reason why at 91, 92 miles an hour, he gets so many swings and misses.
You see it all the time. Vogelback draws the walk. Well, it's not too early to select the lineup of games you want to see this summer at Safeco Field. Be on hand for can't-miss series against the Red Sox, Giants, Dodgers, Yankees, and much more. Tickets for these marquee matchups available now at Mariners.com. Mariners an early 2-0 lead. Here's Gordon Beckham. Looking at strike one.
Trying to win a job as a utility infielder. Hitting .361 for the spring. And has really played well in the field.
Now, Beckham was just a tremendous amateur player at the University of Georgia. He's a former first-round draft pick by the White Sox. And like so many top-tier D1 ball players, he spent a summer in the Cape Cod Baseball League. And the team that he played for, he was with the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox. They were right smack dab in the middle of the Cape geographically. I want to say the year was 07. Jason Castro was the catcher first baseman. Former first-round draft pick out of Stanford by the Astros. The other catcher was a soon-to-be Golden Spikes Award winner out of Florida State, Buster Posey. Then you had Beckham, who was a first-round draft pick out of Georgia. let's see, Colin Cowgill, who spent some time with the Angels in the major leagues as an outfielder out of Kentucky, was on that team as well. There might have been even one more player who was spent some decent time in the big leagues, but you're looking at, let's see, 3 first-round draft picks on one team right there between Beckham, Castro, and Posey.
Were you the broadcaster for that team?
No, I was not the broadcaster for that team, but I remember looking at that roster the following year and going, I wish I was the broadcaster for that team. I bounced her over to third. On a second for 1. That's all they'll get. Started by Valbuena at third base. Vogelback cut down, 1 out. One on for Junior Lake. You ever do a summer league, Alaska or anything like that?
I was on my way to go play in Alaska the year that I signed.
Okay.
After my junior year. The University of Washington, I had arrangements to go to Alaska, but I ended up signing instead.
Randy was in Alaska, wasn't he?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Keeping an eye on Beckham over at first base.
Oh, pretty good move. Let him lean in a little bit.
Two-run home run earlier this inning by Zunino. Rivera down to first base. Pujols can't hold on. And now 3-0. Mariners stay with the split squad day. Other half of the team over taking on the A's once again in Mesa. Which Haniger, one of the notables in that lineup. Casey Lawrence, Mariners reliever, getting the start in that game up on the mound.
Casey having a good spring.
Really is.
ERA just over 1 for the spring.
Full count. Mike, I'm told the Pilots in 1984, the Glacier Pilots, the team of Randy Johnson in the Alaska League. Get them a little pump today.
There you go.
Here comes the payoff pitch. The opposite way. And the catch made on the run by Young.
And a mistake by Gordon Beckham, who will get doubled off at first.
That'll end the inning. A very abrupt end to the inning. We go to the third. Mariners on top.
So I switched to CenturyLink Internet. It's
catcher David Freitas, a new face in the Mariners organization. David, we've enjoyed watching you play. I know the spot for Mike Zunino's backup is one of the spots that a lot of people are really interested in watching unfold. How has camp treated you so far? How are you feeling about things?
I feel pretty good. I like my chances, and I liked, you know, when I came in here early in camp, Scott Service pulled me in and gave me a good idea of what he saw and what he wants to see, and I'm excited about this year.
Or a couple of things that he wants to see.
Well, you know, he told me, you know, you're competing for a spot, and as long as there's a chance, I'll take it. I'll take any chance I can. If you want me to compete for a spot, I'm more than happy to do that.
How are you doing at the plate? I can see that you're hitting 250 for the spring, but how are you feeling overall?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel good. I'm seeing the ball a lot better. Earlier I was swinging at a lot of balls, especially up, and then now I feel like I'm getting a little bit more discipline at the plate. It's a little bit harder, you know, when you're not getting in there every day, but yeah, the big thing for me is one, trusting to see the ball first, which I mean is old school, but when that starts coming around, that's when I start really feeling good.
So you feel that it's starting to slow down a little bit for you?
Yeah, almost like slowing the game down a little bit. You know, early on, you're kind of, you know, jumpy and ready to get after it again, and then you kind of got to take a step back and kind of breathe, relax, and see ball, and then hit it.
The other day, Scott was talking about you, and he's talking about your defense, and I've enjoyed watching you behind the plate. You've done some good work. Has there been a big challenge coming in here and not knowing a lot of the guys and trying to figure out what they want to do? And some days, as you know, you go into the game in the 5th or 6th inning, and you don't know who's coming out of the bullpen. How's that been for you?
Yeah, that's actually a really big thing, and I take pride in that too, is knowing all my guys. And especially the hardest part is when you get in the game, you haven't caught them at all. You know, you get your couple bullpens before, and you can kind of see them from the side, and you can talk to them and know what they kind of like to do out there. But the hardest is when they come in there and you have no idea. Right. And then with this new clock running me down, they only throw 2 pitches, and they're both fastballs, so I have no idea what their off speed is.
Who have you enjoyed on the pitching side? Who have you really enjoyed working with so far?
You know, one guy I caught in Baltimore was Miranda, and you know, he doesn't speak great English, so it's kind of hard sometimes, but I really enjoy just, you know, because I had him before, and we're out there doing it again with a different jersey on, and that's just kind of fun for me too. And when I get to catch him, I start the game too. I like starting. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to find out. You're a California guy, but you went to college at the University of Hawaii. I need to know the recruitment process here. The official visit must have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And what was it like playing ball on the island?
It was, well, first off, I went to junior college for 2 years before that. And then on my second year there, Coach Bloomfield out at CRC tells me, hey, what do you think about Hawaii? I said, well, it sounds like vacation to me. And so I went and checked it out. And, I mean, you can't not love Hawaii, you know. So I went down there for a year and talked to Coach Trapp, and he was like, hey, what do you want to play pro ball? And I said, absolutely, my man. I want to play pro ball. So ideally, I'd like to play here 1 year and get drafted. And he said, that's all I'm asking. And so he told me I'm going to go out there and I'm going to catch every day, and I couldn't ask for anything more. It was awesome.
What were the road trips like?
Yeah, we went on, when we go to California most of the time, most of the time it was in California, and we go for like 2-3 weeks in a row.
Oh.
Yeah, so school was out of the question, but
love the honesty.
You can say it now, I guess.
Yeah, we had 2 ladies that come and help us like with homework and things like that, but it was like we've missed 2-3 weeks. I mean, we've missed 2 tests, a ton of homework, but they were really good about with their athletics, you know, and we would take the tests on the road and stuff, but it was a lot of fun, especially like our preseason games were like all at home because everybody wanted to come to us. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, our whole preseason was all at home, and it was like we didn't have to travel at all. But then when the regular season kind of came around, then it was kind of nuts.
When other teams come to the island to play you guys, I mean, are they completely zoned out? They just got off the beach, right? They've got suntan lotion all over them. I mean, did you get the worst of all these other teams?
That's what we were hoping. But some teams came out there and were just mashing. We were like, dang, dude, they didn't enjoy the beach, I guess.
Well, David, man, it's good to catch up with you a little bit. Thank you so much for the time, and all the best the rest
best
of camp.
of luck.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
David Freitas, Mariners catcher. A year in Hawaii, and a memorable one, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Off the bat is Simmons, over to Segura. To his counterpart is short to end the inning. Nice double play mix in there as well. We go to the bottom of the third. Mariners have the lead.
Have you heard about Bruce Titus Car Guides?
The Mariners lead the Angels 2-0 at the bottom of the third inning. John Andrioli in right field, batting ninth, leads things off for the Mariners today. Looks at a first pitch low from Lamb. Andrioli last year spent a brief period of time in the WBC playing for Team Italy. 27 years old, a non-roster invitee. And spent the last 3 seasons in AAA with the Cubs. 2-1. John comes from a very impressive background of coaching. This is going to impress you, Mike. So his father, also named John, played in the NFL for the Patriots.
Okay.
And to this day is a high school football coach back in New England. In fact, his dad was featured on a Wheaties box. The entire Patriots team was on the cover, John as well. So check that off the box. How about this, though? His grandfather, Fran O'Brien, was the longtime baseball and basketball coach at MIT.
Really?
In fact, the baseball field at MIT is named after his grandfather. Did that blow you away, Mike?
Aaron, good work. That was amazing.
That's what we aim for, Mike. Andrioli on base. Well, Mariners fans come together to welcome back baseball on Thursday, March 29th, with opening night at Safeco Field. All fans in attendance will receive a 2018 magnetic schedule courtesy of Safeco Insurance as the Mariners host the Indians at 7:10. Pick up your tickets, as always, at mariners.com. Leadoff man aboard. Here is D. Gordon. Pops up the first pitch. Cowart, the second baseman, angles back for round number 1. That brings up Gene Segura, 1 out and 1 on, bottom of the third. Quick throw over to first base.
Well, Aaron, I forgot to ask you, how did Jackson's tryout go this morning? I saw him running around with his glove, had his baseball. How'd that go?
Well, you provided the baseball, so we thank you very much for that. You notice there was no signature on it. This pitch is fouled away. The tryout went just fine. I don't know if there's an open spot. As you know, Mike, there are not many areas of opportunity for the Mariners this year, especially for one with a wild swing and a poor throwing form. But we do hope that next year there might be some more opportunities. He'll be 4 then, so we think that he'll be growing into his body a little bit better at that point.
Just tell him to stay aggressive.
And to be honest, communication can be a problem from time to time. This just gets in fair off the bat of Segura. Andreoli runs very well. He's all the way into third. And Segura dives back. Runners on the corners with 1 out. We go back to the Ford Sports Desk. What's up, Ange?
Oh, we're just wondering where people are rooting and making sure that they're using the hashtag where I root so we can get their photos on the air. Keep them coming and we'll try to get them on. Lisa sends this one in. The sun was fun while it lasted. She's got her hiking buddy. And then down there, this one comes from Peoria. Happy St. Patrick's Day and happy 72nd birthday to my dad. How cool would it be to have your birthday on St. Patrick's Day? You've got a built-in excuse to drink green beer. Now, no better way to spend it than watching the Mariners. Keep those photos coming. Use that hashtag where I root, and we'll get them on the air. Guys, back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ange. Runners at first and third. 1 out. Mariners have the lead for Kyle Seager. Shallow right field. Liriano puts it away. Andreoli tags, now makes his way back.
Good idea to go back. That was a strike to home plate. The third base coach, Scott Brocious, holding him up.
Brings up Ryan Healy, who got aboard thanks to an error by the Angels' second baseman. His first time up, looking for his first hit of the springtime, making his Cactus League debut today.
He hit the ball hard. It's a good sign. And Scott this morning saying that he was probably going to get 2, possibly 3 at-bats.
If it's a regular season game, Mike, and you hit the ball hard and it eats up, let's say eats up the third baseman, and as you're running it out, you wonder, boy, was that a hit or an error? Is every player just staring up at the video board waiting to see whether that goes down as a hit in your favor or an error?
Okay, so the answer to that is no. But you're going to get anything from a stare to a glance, but they're all going to look.
Okay. Everybody wants to know. It's just what level of intent.
And if they really drill it and they hit it really hard and it eats up an infielder, and all of a sudden you see error on the board, they will also glance up to the official score.
Palms up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is drilled into left field. Andreoli scores. Segura making his way into third base. Gets away, but is backed up by Pujols. How about this from Ryan Healy, making his Cactus League debut, driving in a run. He stands at second.
They're having a good day. Pitch middle away, a solid line drive.
Leadoff walk comes around to score. Last time up for Zunino, a 2-run homer off the batter's eye in center field. One and one. Mariners have Healy at second, Segura at third.
Well, Mike hit a fastball out to dead center. So far, it's been a slider, a changeup, and a curveball. So mixing it up in this at bat.
Strike 3 call. That ends the inning. A couple of men left, but a run in. We've completed 3. Mariners lead 3-0. Going to be joined by Trevor Gooby here in the booth, the Mariners Senior Vice President of Ballpark Operations. Trevor, welcome to spring training, man.
Thanks, man. Love to be here. Love spring training.
Now, long sleeves are normally not advised during spring training, but it's all right. We're going to cut you some slack.
Yeah, thanks, man. You never know with the weather.
You never know. You never know. It's been a little bit cooler lately. Hey, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about in regards to Safeco Field this season that Mariners fans can expect. And I know one thing that the Mariners organization as a whole is so good at, and especially your department, listening to the fans. And can you tell us what listening to the fans has brought you and your crew to do in terms of how we let people into the ballpark?
Sure. You know, this offseason we really wanted to focus on what people love about Safeco, what are some issues that they're having at the ballpark, and we want to make sure we're addressing those issues. And so we did focus groups here in the offseason, talked to season ticket holders, long-time season ticket holders, people who come to one game, people who stopped coming to Safeco Field, and because of that we got creative and came up with some ideas of, you know, how can we make it easier to access Safeco Field. So one of the things we're doing is we're going to increase walk-through metal detectors inside the ballpark. That was probably the biggest thing we've heard from fans, is that it's just not easy to get into the stadium or into the ballpark. And so we're adding about 10 new walk-through metal detectors around the ballpark to make that process faster. Some staff outside the ballpark as well to really communicate with fans as they're coming into the ballpark. Hey, this is what you can bring in. This is what you can't bring in. This line's long. This line's slow. And so those are the things that we're really trying to work on. Communication is key.
Overall, speeding up the process, getting from outside of the ballpark to inside the ballpark.
Exactly. That's the main thing. We're allowing water into the ballpark, a sealed 32-ounce bottle of water. I know it sounds like a small thing, but that actually was slowing the line down. People would have to pour out water, and so we're allowing that into the ballpark. And one thing that we are changing as well is our re-entry policy. We're one of the few teams that actually allowed people to come into the ballpark and then leave and then come back in later in the game. And so we've changed that, so there's no re-entry into the ballpark. That was really slowing our lines down. We were having people come 2, 3, 4 times getting scanned because they were going back out and inside. So
good pitch there from Gonzalez. Valbuena caught looking.
And so that's going to change. That's really going to help speed up our lines. We anticipate that speeding it up, you know, probably somewhere between 15 and 20%. And so that will really help get people into the ballpark faster.
Absolutely. Hey, now this is something that I really want to know more about. Tell me about the deal of the day.
It's a great catchy line, and we're excited about it. Again, one of the things that people were asking about is, hey, I come to, you know, multiple games, and, you know, it's expensive sometimes when I'm bringing my family, and, you know, they all want hot dogs and drinks and popcorn and whatnot. And so we got creative with our concessionaire center plate and our marketing department, and we're going to have a special item on the concession stand every single game. It's going to rotate, and we're going to announce it to our fans, and it's going to be a deal of the day. And it's not just going to be, 10 cents off, 50 cents off. It's going to be a significant discount for our fans.
Pool House host bounces into the shift for round number 2. And how do fans, how far in advance do fans find out, and how do they find out?
So we're going to announce it a few games prior, and then we're also going to have a great reveal inside the ballpark for those who didn't know about it. So there'll be a big production with our video crew on the scoreboard, and they're the creative group, and they do a great job with it. And we're going to make it really fun, and we're going to make sure that, again, it's a great deal for our fans. And again, we appreciate the patronage and them coming out to the stadium and the ballpark, and we're really looking forward to being able to offer that.
Now, you're the only guy who does an inning faster than Nick Vincent. This is pretty impressive.
Hey, I try, man.
Trevor Gooby, Mariners Senior VP of Ballpark Ops. Thanks for swinging by, man.
Thanks for having me.
Good talking to you.
Man.
Tomorrow at
back and set to lead things off. Vogelback has just simply been livid on base so far this spring. Drew a walk back in the second. Now bats here in the fourth. Now we had a chance to talk with Jerry just a few days ago, really, about Daniel Vogelback, and like you and I have had the conversation about his change in approach as we go back to yesterday for Daniel Vogelback. This was in surprise, taking on the Rangers.
Blasted to right field. This one is crushed. It is
Will pull power up to the berm.
Off a left-hander, which was good to see.
Well, this is something, that in particular is something that Daniel told us he was wanting to improve upon this year. That is pulling the ball, hitting with more power, being more aggressive as well.
Something like that.
Well, this is a carbon copy of yesterday, back-to-back days with a big-time jack for Daniel Vogelback. He is as locked in as it comes. 4-0 Mariners.
His fourth home run of the spring. He came into the game hitting .405. And we've made the comment many times. We talked to Scott Brocious about it the other day, just how aggressive he has been throughout the spring, especially on the fastball early in counts, and it's paid off. You mentioned him pulling the ball, which he's certainly able to do. You just saw that back-to-back days with home runs, but he also has a number of doubles that he's been able to hit the left center field. What a spring he's having.
Ball one to Beckham. Another look. One to the Mariners' second baseman now. But the one thing that Jerry said that they talked to Daniel about before he went back to Florida for the offseason was that they wanted him to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
And something, and Mike, you can speak to this about the differences between AAA and the big leagues in terms of simply being able to get behind 0-1, 0-2 and still do damage at one level. And at the other, you get behind 0-1, 0-2 especially, and it becomes far more complicated.
Well, you're right, and I think that's the main thing. Gordon, this is out to left field.
This might have not enough to get out, but off the base of the wall. Beckham puts it into high gear. Burning into third, headlong slide, he's safe.
Another player having a good spring. There were a couple of things, though, on that, Aaron, and for Daniel, trying to take pitches at this level, and then it would automatically put you in a defensive position so that if he ended up getting another pitch that he could handle, typically he would just serve it into left field. Not hit for power, not be aggressive, and I think by changing that at this level, at the major league level, you're going to get a fastball to hit, and it's probably going to be early in the count. And if they get it for a strike because you just give it to them, they're going to go to work on you. And there are certain hitters that are fine with that. It's not a problem. We're going to make a pitching change. But there's a lot of hitters that need to be aggressive early on that fastball and not miss it, and that's where Daniel's at now.
Boy, a lot of good stuff for Vogelback here in camp. Pitching change will step aside, bottom of the fourth. Your local steel dealer. Visit steeldealers.com. Good look at Lake Pleasant, not too far from here. There are lakes in Arizona. Got a pitching change here in the home fourth. John Lamb is done for the day. And a guy that we saw last year working to the back end of Mike Socha's bullpen, Keenan Middleton's got some Northwest roots, pitched in college in Eugene and Lane Community College. Really hard thrower up on the mound now for the Angels. Faces Junior Lake. He inherits Beckham at third base after the triple. Starts him off with the first pitch strike. Check swing appeal. 1-1. Like with some pretty aggressive eye black there, it looks like. We are doing everything possible to keep the sun out of the eyes today. It's not quite a Harper from the high school days where he just
all over your face.
Yeah, just smear it all over. That's a little more artistic. Two. Out number one.
Pretty good fastball at 97 miles an hour.
There's John Andreoli. Walked and scored back in the third. Andreoli can really fly. We saw that when he reached base last inning. Beckham back to third and plenty of time. Andreoli, not a guy with a ton of power in the minors, but he's been a pretty good on-base hitter in the minor leagues. For his career, about a .370 on-base percentage. If you go back to his single-A days, he had a 50 steal season. I mentioned earlier, last 3 years he spent at the AAA level. He's averaged about 35 bags a year in AAA. Two and one. Beckham leads off at third. And Hum's in there at 96.
This fastball is consistent 96, 97 miles an hour. Pretty good slider at 85. He's mixing it up.
Strike three called. 98-mile-an-hour fastball. That's the main event at Safeco Field this April. It's on Friday, April 13th. Of course, we're talking about Ben Gamel Cap Night. The first 15,000 fans will receive this one-of-a-kind cap that features the long locks of the Mariners outfielder. As seen in Mariners commercial with Kyle Seager. Just check out mariners.com for tickets. Top of the order, here's D. Gordon. I do need to find out how many takes it took for Gamble on that hair flip, because the inside information that I was told, Mike, is that Gamble had like never really done a dramatic hair flip intentionally.
Really?
It was out of pure necessity before. Up the middle for a base hit. Beckham comes down the line and scores. D. Gordon aboard for the first time today, makes it 5-0 Mariners.
He's trying to put the ball in play. Fastball running away from him at 97 miles an hour. Infielders having to shorten up a little bit because of his speed. Nice base hit back up the middle. So Gamble has never practiced the hair flip.
He never
is what you're
practiced.
telling me.
No, he needed, from what I was told, he needed some. As we take a look at this pickoff attempt here, and let's see what happens with Pujols.
Just a little help from D.
He's got it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we clearly saw the Taylor Motter hair flip on display many times last year.
Yes.
After steal, after a home run with Robbie. But according to what I was told about Gamble, this was not something he'd really ever consciously done before, especially with, you know, lighting and cameras and a director and everything else. There goes Gordon. Tag. Got him. Ends the inning and through 4. Mariners lead 5-0.
Spring is coming, and
Out there today's starting pitcher. As we bring in Ryan Rowland-Smith from back in the studio back home. You know, Ryan, a chance to see Marco pitch once again today. Of course, has had this fantastic spring. His last start hit on a comeback, hit on his wrist on a comebacker. What have you made so far today, and what has kind of been a bounce back start in terms of health, if nothing else, for Marco Gonzalez?
Yeah, he looks good. He looks, you know, since the beginning of spring, he's looked good mixing his pitches both sides of the plate. But the biggest, you know, telltale sign from what we're going to get from Marco Gonzalez this year is what he's able to do that second, third time through the lineup. And that 50 to 60 pitch mark is where, you know, the wheels started to fall off for him in 2017. So this is, you know, it's that 5th inning. You know, poor Trevor Gooby last inning couldn't even get through his stadium promotions. Marco was that efficient, which is a good sign. But, you know, this will be good to watch. He's at 52 pitches right now. He's approaching that 60 pitch mark. How can he go about getting these guys out, you know, second, third time through the lineup?
What have you thought of his changeup?
It looks good. I love it. And you mentioned this earlier, Mike, you know, during the game. Having that cut fastball inside really complements that changeup. And I think for Marco, biggest thing is identifying what pitch in what count. And if he can have a good balance of pitching inside, mixing up that fastball and cutter, he has to do both. In my opinion, you don't want to fall in love with that cutter if it's working. You still have to throw that straight fastball. And able to set up that changeup, it makes that pitch so much better.
Ryan, we were talking about it also with Marco in his last 3 outings here in spring. For whatever reason, and maybe it's just him, but in pitching in general, why it's so difficult to get through that first inning. He seems to have a little bit of a command issue. Once he gets through it, he settles down and really throws well. He was able to get out of the inning, but it cost him a few pitches. Why does that happen?
I think, you know, a lot of things, it's you know, getting in a good rhythm early, and, you know, you can try and adjust your your pre-game routine. I don't really think that helps. I think it's more of, as a starting pitcher, in the back of your mind, you're going to be out there for 80 to 100 pitches. And so for whatever reason, you want to settle in. And I think that sort of works against you as opposed to, for me as a starting pitcher, the best games I had was having a bullpen mentality where I'm going to go after these guys right off the bat. And sometimes though, as a pitcher, when you are trying to, settle in, kick around the mound and everything else, that can play against you a little bit. And you start to get a little bit more timid as opposed to really going after hitters.
Hey, Ryan, as always, thank you, man. Good stuff there from Ryan Rowland-Smith. Marco approaching 60 pitches on the day. Has been first pitch strike to every batter but 3 today. Quickly to Seager. Good stretch there at first base by Healy. A rare throw from Kyle that's a little wide of the mark, but corralled. Hey, did I tell you about this Stats Info Solutions number on Kyle Seager's arm? We talk about this?
No.
This is real, Mike. He has the most accurate throwing arm in the majors among any infielder. They crunched all the data, Mike. They got the bullseyes out there, all the cameras, everything else. Kyle Seager, the most accurate arm. And this is one of those times where when you love when the eye test matches the numbers.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think for starters, Robinson Cano would certainly agree with that. It seems that they turn more double plays than anybody. And for Robbie, because Kyle will get rid of the ball quickly, and it's always right in the middle of his chest. So Robbie can do whatever he needs to do if the runner's getting on top of him or if he has time. Whatever he feels like doing. You see right here, a little flip across the diamond. Healy helping him out. But he's been that way from day one, which is amazing when you think that he started off as a second baseman. But his ability to get rid of the ball quickly and accurately is, I think, second to none, especially at that position. There are guys that maybe have a stronger arm than he does, but and Kyle has a pretty good arm, but I just think as far as the accuracy, I always expect him to hit either the second baseman or the first baseman right in the middle of the chest because you just see it every day.
Right. All the time.
Yeah.
We're so accustomed to it. Something like that really stands out what we just saw. Chris Woodward, former Mariner coach, now coach with the Dodgers, told me a couple of years ago, he said Kyle Seager has the most accurate throwing arm I've ever seen. And when he said that to me, I said, Woody, now Kyle's great.
Ever?
Come on, ever? He said, no, think about it. He said, when have you ever seen Kyle make a throwing arm?
Yeah, I agree with him.
He's right. Side sat down in order once again. Marco Gonzalez in an awfully nice group. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Segura batting second today. Seager and Healy to follow. Ballpark is absolutely jam-packed this afternoon. Temperatures right around 70 degrees. Flicked into right field and sinking. And for a base hit. Liriano can't make the catch. Second time aboard for Segura.
We'll take a look at it. Trying to make the sliding catch. Well, actually had it in his glove for a split second. Wasn't able to hold on to it. Second base hit for Segura.
Liriano a little shaken up. Looked like he was waving off possible visit from the training crew.
All right, so Kyle's going to step in here, Aaron. And I was thinking in the break, what made you look up that, and where would you find something like that as far as the accuracy of an infielder's arm?
Well, there's a, I'll call him friend of the broadcast.
Okay.
Mark Simon, who for over a decade plus, was with ESPN Stats and Info. And now is with Sports Info Solutions. And Mark was able to find that nugget among, well, so many others. It's his job after all. It's what he does better than almost anybody. And he passed that along to us over the winter time. And something that when we saw it, there goes Segura. He is safe. A little single looks more like a double now. He's got to know the right people, Mike. That's all. That's one number that the Baseball Reference Play Index does not have.
Does not have, okay.
RBI chance now for Kyle. Flared foul over by left field. 2-1.
I liked what you were talking about too when you said the eye test matching the numbers, because that's one of the things for myself, especially doing this job. It's nice to have those numbers because sometimes you can watch a game and whether it's a hitter or somebody that's pitching.
Smoke to center.
Too much carry on it.
Young able to get there easily for out number one.
But it's nice if you think you're seeing something to be able to cross-check it with the numbers to see if they'll back you up or not, or maybe you're seeing something that's not actually there or not happening as often as you think it might be. It makes it fun.
Well, it's always rewarding when you find something that does back up a hunch that you have.
Right.
Doesn't feel so great when you go, oh, never mind. I won't tell Mike about that one.
Oh, it's going to happen though.
Always does.
Yeah.
Here's Healy having himself a nice day in his Cactus League debut. Healy, of course, missing the beginning of camp after cleaning a bone spur up in his hand. A procedure that Jerry DiPoto said took less than 20 minutes. Oh, 2. Now Healy, of course, former first-round draft pick out of the University of Oregon. When you were at UW, Oregon, was their program dormant then?
Yes.
That's what I thought. A long gap of activity there in Eugene. Of inactivity, I should say.
One of the questions to Scott Service this morning was talking about Healy and the amount of playing time and how quickly they're going to try to get him back. And there is a little bit of an urgency to it for him to be comfortable at the start of the season. And Scott was talking about when you have somebody like Robbie or even Nelson, guys that have a long track record at the major league level, that you can trust them to kind of go at their own pace. And for Healy, obviously the big year last year, but it was his first year, and so that track record isn't there. And he said part of it with Ryan, as we get to know him, is he said that he thinks
He wakes up like he just had 8 cups of coffee. A lot of energy.
He does.
He has a lot of energy, and he's just dying to get in the ball game. And so Scott says it's going to be up to him to manage that. Otherwise, he'd probably like to play every day.
You know, this is kind of tough to explain because you would think that any player who's with a new team would come across enthused to be with that new organization.
Right.
As the Mariners went out and acquired him over the winter time. But in our interactions face-to-face with Ryan Healy over the winter when he was at Safeco Field for a couple of events this offseason, as he's down on strikes. I mean, the level of genuine excitement Ryan Healy has to be a Seattle Mariner, it was really striking. You could pick up on it immediately in that high energy that you were just talking about. And a guy who, as we referenced, was in the region in the Northwest for college. He loves rainy days. He really does. It's his favorite kind of weather. He's so excited to be back in the Northwest and to be with the Mariners. Obviously had a taste of it playing in the division with Oakland last year, but he's thrilled to be here. 2 outs for Mike Zunino, whose last time up, or 2 times ago I should say, pretty serious home run out to center field.
Yeah, he gets a fastball he can handle, probably middle in, inside out swing, but he drives it over that yellow line in dead center.
You know, the other thing on Healy, he has taken the boos from UW fans so well, as he has been. Well, Mike, I mean, I don't have to explain to you the.
No, you don't.
Yeah, but there are Mariners fans who have booed Ryan Healy because he was a Duck, because they are Huskies fans. I can't explain.
As an A or a Mariner?
No, Mariners fans.
Really?
At Safeco Field in Ellis Pavilion. And Ryan took it very well. They didn't boo Ryan, they just booed his college choice.
Right, exactly.
And of course he put 2 hands together and formed a nice circle. Two balls and 2 strikes. Segura, the runner at second base. Got there with a single then a steal. Now full count. The hands and foul. Now the wind is picking up once again here in Peoria. Zunino already 1 home run today. The 3-2. 2-out walk. Zunino on board for the second time. Saturday, March 31st marks the return of Robinson Cano Bobblehead Day presented by Root Sports. It's free to the first 20,000 fans. Hidden in 10 of the bobblehead boxes are golden tickets good for complimentary round-trip airfare on Alaska Airlines. So log on to mariners.com for tickets. Got a mid-inning pitching change. We'll step aside. 2 on 2 outs, bottom of the 5th.
to Aaron and Mike, guys.
All right, thank you, Ange. Here's Vogelback. 2 outs and 2 on. Now the first pitch is strike from Jose Alvarez. Vogelback a walk and a home run today.
His 4th home run of the spring. That leads the club.
Chasing after that pitch to end the inning. A couple of men left. 5 innings complete. 5-0 Mariners. Training is always live with MLB At Bat. The app will keep you connected every day with live radio calls, video highlights, stats, breaking news, and more. You can download MLB At Bat now. It's your #1 Mariners app. Reimer Liriano leads things off for the Angels here in the 6th. Marco Gonzalez, today's starting pitcher, still up on the mound for the Mariners. It's swinging strike 1. Marco going to Spokane to play for the Zags. All the way from Colorado. That's his hometown, or his home state, I should say. Marco, the most decorated pitcher in the history of Gonzaga baseball. Really wanted to be a part of helping to revive that program. Ball and 2 strikes.
In the Caravan this winter, we went to the university. Very popular there.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Now, he was bummed that there was not a Zags game, a basketball game that is, that night when we were in town. He made it sound like he would be able to get tickets, which I know is not an easy thing to do there.
He probably knows somebody.
Probably knows a guy.
Nicasio getting loose in the pen. He might be the first starter to pitch into the 6th inning so far this spring.
You're right. Marco met his wife at Gonzaga. His wife is a fitness instructor in Seattle. They make their home there year-round. And when we had a chance to talk with Marco during the offseason, this was about a month or so, maybe a couple of months after the Mariners hired Dr. Lorena Martin to oversee basically a new branch of the Mariners. She's the director of high performance for the team, which is nearly an unprecedented department in Major League Baseball, helping to kind of oversee, in general terms, every aspect of health with the Mariners, including things as obscure as sleep patterns and obviously things as basic as nutrition. And we asked Marco about his early interactions with Dr. Martin. This is In the Sun and in the Wind. D. Gordon able to find it. Number 1. And he said that Dr. Martin asked him, when he was working out at Safeco Field, asked him for his wife's cell phone number so that she could call his wife and find out what is inside of their fridge at home. So I guess she's taking her job pretty seriously.
How'd Marco feel about that?
Well, what made me think is, does she not believe what you tell her? When you said it was nothing but kale and apples and filtered water, she wasn't buying that? One ball and 1 strike.
Juan Nicasio getting loose in the Mariner pen. I'll go up to 72 pitches.
Of course, the Zags taking on Ohio State later today. 5 seed versus a 4 seed. That'll be a good one. Segura makes the catch and keeps his feet.
He jammed his thumb into the ground trying to keep his balance.
We got a pitching change. That is it for Marco Gonzalez. Hands the ball to Scott Service. 2 outs, top of the 6th. A nice round of applause for Marco as he exits.
That was great to see, and talked about the right hand when he was hit by the line drive, but pretty efficient with his pitching today, working into the 674 pitches overall for him. Gave up just the 1 hit. Saw him use his cutter quite a bit again today, and no surprise there, mixing in a few changeups. Good defense behind him.
Probably go 85 pitches, 85 pitches his next time out.
Juan Nicasio, the new pitcher for the Mariners. Nice offseason addition by Jerry DiPoto. Nicasio making his 6th appearance of the springtime. Last year, Nicasio, a man on the move, suited up for 3 different teams, all in the National League: Pirates, Phillies, and the Cardinals. Starts Simmons off with strike 1. Quickly 0-2.
Yeah, that's a good fastball, 94, 95 miles an hour. Slider.
And he's almost as big as Nelson Cruz. He is enormous. Maybe not quite as wide. Still 2-2. Deep in the hole. Segura puts a little something on it. And there's our number 3. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Mariners in control. Five to nothing. So there's a splash pad here inside the ballpark, just up the third base side. It's a good day for that. Jordan Beckham leads it off. Beckham a triple and a run scored his last time up. Stares at strike 1. Jose Alvarez still the pitcher on the mound for the Angels. Here comes the 0-2. James Pazzo's warming up inside the Mariners bullpen. We'll be seeing him shortly this afternoon. Beckham stays alive. And to left. And a good catch made there for out number 1. Let's go back to Angie in Seattle. What's going on, Angie?
I just wanted to remind everybody that starting in April, actually April 1st, and that is not a joke, Mariners All Access will be officially back. At exclusive player interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and Mariner stories that you just can't find anywhere else. For your local programming schedule, all you have to do is visit rootsports.com. Aaron?
Thank you, Angie. One out, nobody on, bottom of the 6th. Here's Bo Amaral. First at bat today, took over defensively. Seen a little bit of Bo so far in the spring.
A few times.
Chop foul to make it 1-2. Hey, how's Ron Fairley's book going for you? Almost through that one now?
Just about. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to read it. It's a little bit different, I think, for myself, just because a lot of the stories it tells in the book I've obviously heard.
Sure.
But it's been a lot of fun to read it. I've learned quite a bit too. But yeah, it's been a good read this spring.
Pulled foul once again. Chris Carter, the new first baseman. You know, when you look at his career, Mike,
yeah,
as a guy who had some good times in the major leagues like yourself, you look at, I mean, it's almost a charmed baseball life when you look at how long he was in there, the players that he played with, how young he was when he broke in, the teams that he was on. I mean, and of course his opponents too. I mean, it's amazing the stories that he has and all the people that he surrounded himself during his time in the big leagues.
It really is. It's a tremendous career. Played for over 20 years in the major leagues, and the time when the Dodgers had Koufax and Drysdale and Duke Snyder, all those guys were there, and he was a part of that. And to think that he grew up in Southern California at a time when the Dodgers had just moved out there. He goes to USC, wins the College World Series, signs with the Dodgers, and is in the World Series with the Dodgers the following year at 19 years old, and never looked back. He went to the minor leagues one time and then was back in the big leagues, and that was it. 1,000 games in the infield, 1,000 games in the outfield. One of what, 3 or 4 people to do that.
All-star a couple of times.
Yeah. Played for both Canadian teams, the Expos and the Blue Jays.
About time he wrote a book, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
This is Andrew Applin with 2 outs and nobody on. Mariners leading in the home 6th. 2-1. I think most people would say that playing in a World Series your rookie year, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment, and that was just the starting point for him.
Yeah. But it's just neat to listen to him talk about all these great ball players that were either teammates of his or the guys that he was playing against, just that era in general. It's a lot of fun.
Stays fair over to first base. There's Carter, put it away for out number 3. On to the 7th. 5-0 Mariners. together. By Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by your Western Washington Honda dealers, visit your local Honda dealer. A beautiful day here in the desert. Mariners leading the Angels as we go to the top of the 7th. 5-0 Mariners. And we go once again back down to the dugout. Looking forward to this one. Chance to catch up with new Mariners center fielder D. Gordon. D, it has been so much fun having you in camp, watching you in center field, having you with the Mariners. How have these early weeks in a new uniform been for you?
It's been great, man. We got a great group of guys, great manager and coaching staff, so I'm just happy to be here.
We talked a lot about you changing positions, going from second base to center field. How comfortable are you out there? Because it looks like it's a position you've played your whole life.
I'm just trying to get better each day. I don't want to take anything for granted. I want to help guys as much as possible. So, you know, I'm just trying to take it each day and get better a little bit.
Do you work on a lot of fundamental stuff? Because we've seen just about everything from you. I was even amazed in yesterday's game on looked like a routine fly ball to Heredia in left field. There was a little bit of sun involved, but you ran all the way over there to back him up just in case he was able to make the catch. But you just don't see too many guys doing that anymore.
If I don't do it, Pre gonna get on me. So I'm making sure I don't get in trouble and Pre don't get in no trouble as well.
Yeah, I know he's been working with you. I talked to him about you, and there are a couple of other things too. The way that you backed up the second base when the ball came into center field, you end up throwing the runner out. I like the way that you stay behind the ball. A lot of the things that it takes guys a year or two at least to learn. You picked them up right away, man. I mean, you look like you've been out there forever.
I don't feel like it. I'm just trying to help us, man. That's it. You know, just trying to make the transition as easy as possible for myself and help the ball club, because, you know, we got a good team and, you know, we got to win ball games, so I got to be ready to play.
Speaking of that, I've noticed that you've bunted a few times. How often do you work on that during the spring?
A lot actually. You know, just trying to, you know, get it right for the season, you know, because it's a big part of my game.
You know, I was wondering, D, I mean, you're a pretty social guy. You like to talk with everybody. And when you're at second base, or even before that in your career, when you're out at shortstop, you get traffic all over the place. You can talk to guys. Now, you're on an island now, D, out in center field. How are you handling the isolation?
Talking to myself.
When you mentioned talking about Chris Prieto, Mariners outfield coach, one of the things that we talked to Chris about that I would have never thought of was just simply the wear and tear on your lower half.
Yeah.
Getting used to running all the way out there to center field and back to the dugout each inning compared to just going to second base. Have you felt that in spring training? Is that something that you guys have a plan for as the season goes along?
You know what's funny, man? We do have a plan for it. I'm a guy who runs on and off the field all the time as quickly as possible, you know, in the infield. And they told me to back off of that, totally back off of it, you know, take my time getting out there, take my time getting back. You know, unless I'm hitting, I'm starting that inning. But, you know, and I've honestly got a few people like talking trash to me, like, hustle off the field. And I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you, because I'm not going to talk back to everybody who tells me to hustle on and off the field.
You point them to Chris Prieto. You say, talk to my coaches.
No, I just wear it, honestly.
On the spring, you played quite a bit, and it's something that I talked to Scott about at the beginning of camp, and he said that's something that you wanted to do. Will you back off a little bit now?
Hold on. I saw my pitcher get hit. I was just making sure he was all right. He seems fine. So
yeah,
can you say that again?
Yeah, James is tough. He can handle that.
Yeah.
I was just saying that I was talking to Scott early in camp, and he said that when he talked to you, you said you wanted to play quite a bit in spring training. Obviously, you've been around for veterans to kind of ease their way into it. That really hasn't been the case. Will you ease off a little bit now that you're getting closer to the finish line here?
I think so. I think getting closer to the finish line, we're going to ease off a little bit. Been playing a lot of innings the last few days, so, you know, just getting out there, you know, getting my feet up under me.
D, you got to tell us about the Papa Shot, man.
So I got it for the guys in Miami. We had a skee ball table, but no one played it. Then, so we didn't have anything else. We didn't have a pool table like these guys or anything. So we ended up getting a Papa Shot, and we all loved it. And somehow, some way, Scott made sure I bought it. So I think we need to go into his pockets.
Now, of course, nobody's been able to really get a good look at the Papa Shot outside of the guys who are in the clubhouse. But, you know, this is, you know, Dave and Buster want this Papa Shot, man.
Yeah.
This is
nice.
This is not a double A. Yeah.
It's a big league Papa Shot. It's a really good one. It moves side to side as well. You know, you can get up to 4 stages if you're good. A lot of guys in there aren't that good, so they haven't even made it to stage 4 yet.
Now, you're a big basketball guy, D. Can you tell us about your amateur basketball career?
I was pretty good. I was really good, actually. You know, I was going to go to Big D1 to play. And, oh, no, stay here.
Rivera out to left field. Looks like it'll stay in the ballpark. Amaral settles underneath. I mean, you were going to go to Louisville, correct?
Yeah. And it was awesome, man. I love hooping. I love the camaraderie of it. I love playing it. And I think playing basketball so much as a kid, you know, and an adolescent, it made me love baseball more because I didn't get to play that much baseball.
Do you still play in the wintertime?
Nope.
Put it away, okay.
Could you dunk?
Oh, yeah. Still can if I want to.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
Hey, D, this has been a lot of fun, man. We appreciate you swinging by and talking a little bit with us. We know you've been busy and busy here today, but thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
D. Gordon, man, he's been fun to have around, isn't he?
Yeah, you can just tell just the way. I like watching him work and the energy that he puts into it. It's not easy every day getting up in the mornings and going out on the backfields and doing things, working with Chris like he has. But he does it with a lot of energy and usually a smile on his face. He's just having a good time being here and playing the game. I think that rubs off on the rest of the guys, too.
It's got to.
Yeah.
Here's Jeffrey Marte, looks at his strike. Hey, let's go back to that incident with Pazos getting hit on the comebacker.
Quick one hopper. He hit him in the hamstring.
James all right. Gets ahead 0-2. Over to Seager. Goes a short way to end the top of the 7th. Time to stretch. 5-0 Mariners.
Oh, I.
Mariners, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Gorgeous day here in Peoria. How many day games left for the Mariners? Back in the sunshine again tomorrow, taking on the Indians. There is no Ramirez. For the mound for the Halos.
Aaron, you have your family here, so I know that you're enjoying the sunshine.
Absolutely.
A lot of pool time for you.
Pool time.
Yeah.
T-ball time.
T-ball time.
Playground time. Not enough nap time. Going outside to Braden Bishop. Taking over for D. Gordon. Bishop wears that, gets aboard.
Oh, looks like it hits the elbow guard. Might have been a changeup that got away from him.
Bryson Brigman, the new batter for the Mariners, took over at shortstop. Brigman, a former third-round draft pick by the Mariners. Not long ago, just back in 2016. Spent all of last year with Clinton in single A ball at 235. There goes Bishop. Pop foul out of play. The 2-2. Keeping an eye on Bishop. And Mike, seeing Bishop out there makes me think of the fraternity of Huskies who have played in the major leagues. And Jake Lamb is on your heels, Mike, in terms of Huskies base hits in the show. Lamb, of course, a fantastic third baseman for the Diamondbacks.
Very good player.
Bishop able to get in there safely. Right now, Lamb, 5th most hits of any Husky in big league history. Mike Blowers, 4th all time. Now, over 100 hits behind you, but he's off to a fine start in his big league career.
He'll get there this year then.
Jeff Heath leads them all. And Sammy White. Jeff Heath was from way back when, the 1930s. White in the 50s and 60s. Kevin Stalker.
Yeah, Kevin Stalker, shortstop.
Hung him up in 2000. Then Blower Power. Of course, the great Fred Hutchinson on that list. Here's Seager. Seager's 4th time up. Ball to strike. Couple of strikes now against Seager. Bishop leads off his second. Right between the legs of Juan Gratterall, the new catcher. Bishop rounding third. He's steaming home, and he scores all the way from second standing.
A fastball just spiked it. And the catcher, you can see him spinning around, had no idea where it was at. Bishop running with his head up, scores easily.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Seager. Now 6-0 Mariners. Watch out. Now Ramirez hit Bishop to put him aboard. Almost got Seager that time. Clocked right field, no doubter. Out of the berm, Kyle Seager. 7-0 Mariners.
We were talking about it earlier in the ballgame. Kyle never getting comfortable in spring last year. Maybe a little more comfortable now.
That was a fine spring.
Yep. And 3-2, he gets a fastball, middle in. Just drops the barrel to it. Hits it up over the bullpen.
Matt Haig on the first pitch. Ticks off the glove. Dies in foul territory. Base hit for Haig. Arte couldn't handle it. On Sunday, April 1st, the Mariners are celebrating the start of the season with Kids Opening Day presented by Boeing. All youngsters are invited to join a pregame parade around the field. Plus, they'll receive a free Felix Hernandez t-shirt. Be a part of the fun by picking up tickets now at Mariners.com.
Somebody we spoke to earlier in the ballgame, David Freitas, getting a chance to hit.
Takes over for Zunino.
David trying to win that backup catcher job. Pretty good battle going on in spring training. Comes into the game hitting .250 overall.
Mike Margem in that competition. Tuffy Gozawish as well. It's got to be so hard for especially players like Freitas, who has seen time in the major leagues, Mike, but not much at all in the grand scheme of things. Just a few games, really. When you are fighting for a job, you are not playing regularly, and when you do play, more times than not, it's like this coming off the bench.
Yep, it's tough.
It's the way it is, though.
It's the way it is. We heard him talk about it earlier. He likes starting more than doing this. Everybody would, but unfortunately, Mike Zunino will be the starting catcher this year. So this is the job that he's going to get. And that's part of them trying to evaluate.
Chance for 2 for the Angels. And they get it. Double play to end the inning. We are through 7. Mariners lead at 7-0.
We head to the 8th inning. We kind of take a picture look at the AL West as starting rotations are starting to firm up just a little bit. And we'll start with the Mariners, and specifically Marco Gonzalez certainly helps himself today, Ryan.
Yeah, he does. And, there were a couple question marks, especially spring training with some injuries, Felix and Erasmo Ramirez. So having a guy like Marco Gonzalez at the bottom end of that rotation, doing what he did today, and really answering those questions of how he does second, third time through. It's exciting, and so this is the time to do it.
And as far as Erasmo Ramirez, the Mariners are hopeful that he will be able to throw a bullpen by the end of the month. I want to move to the other team right here in the Angels, because there was so much hype about Shohei Ohtani and what he was going to do and this two-way player and everything else. And all of a sudden now reports are coming out. He may start the season in the minors? What?
He might, and you got to remember, they're treating him like a young prospect. He's in his early 20s, but he has really struggled on both ends of the ball. And this is something that, the question mark has always been, okay, this is something he can do in Japan. He can be a two-way player. The big leagues is something different, and you can see him getting in, pitching him inside. He's getting torn up on the offensive side, but even pitching too, the velocity's not quite there. But that guy right there, Mike Scioscia, is in a tough situation. And when you talk about a guy like Ohtani going to AAA, they talked about the six-man rotation and, having Albert Pujols go back and forth.
That would be crazy. Like if all of a sudden, they got the six-man rotation at the major league level. Now, if he starts in the minors, what their AAA team is going to have to do and adjust to.
Right, and the Angels are going to be in a situation where do they go, five-man rotation, Albert Pujols DHs, and then all of a sudden Ohtani pitches well, comes up. You have to switch around, shuffle that rotation around. All of a sudden, hey, Albert, you're going to have to play some first base. It's an interesting dynamic, with especially inside the clubhouse, on the field. So, it's a tough one for the Angels to try and figure this all out.
I want to pull Aaron and Mike in, because you guys know, you always talk to the other broadcasters and all the other media from the other team. What's the thought on Ohtani? He's got an ERA over 16. Yesterday he allowed 7 runs. He's 2 for 20 with 7 Ks at the plate. I mean, are they surprised by this, or like, oh, no, he's just going to get to take a little more time?
I think it's a difficult situation, and if you're bringing a player like that into camp, it's the first time he's been over here. He's trying to do something that nobody has done in the league. I think you have to have some patience and really expect there to be some struggles. I think they're going to lean on him more for the pitching side of things. With the whole situation too, I'm not sure how it all is going to work for the Angels. You mentioned the 6-man rotation and all those things. He may go to AAA, and it might be a situation where he goes there for a month or so, and then they can control him a little bit longer. So before he becomes a free agent. To me, I think that you have to let this thing take its course and the amount of time that it's going to take. Who knows? But it's something different, and I think you have to be patient with him.
At this point, injuries are play such an important role. The Mariners have seen that. The A's got bit today, or actually yesterday. Jarrell Cotton, the guy they had slated as their number 3 starter, down with an elbow injury, and he's going to have Tommy John surgery. This was a shaky rotation to begin with, Ryan, and it gets worse.
Yeah, it was. And a guy like Jarrell Cotton, you never want to hear this news. I know it's obviously in-division rival with the Oakland A's, but here's a young pitcher. He struggled a little bit last year, but this would only really be his 3rd year in the big leagues, and to see a guy go down with Tommy John. But now, when you look at the Oakland A's and you ask, well, who's going to pitch opening day? A guy who was in AA last year, even in A-ball at a point last year, that's A.J. Puck. I mean, we've never seen this guy. He could be the opening day starter. It's crazy.
That would be crazy. Mike, your thoughts on the Oakland A's and them just being dealt a blow to their starting rotation to compete in the AL West?
Yeah, Angie, I don't think anybody is really going to feel sorry for them, especially the Mariners, when you consider what their pitching situation has been like over the last couple of years and the amount of injuries that they've had to sustain. But it goes all the way back to depth, and you have to have it in your organization. Scott was talking about that this morning when we were talking about some of the guys that are in camp and their opportunities to pitch this year. Guys are going to get hurt. The good news for the Mariners on the other side is it sounds like Felix, after his bullpen, is going to start to ramp things up, so that's good. But you mentioned it, Angie, with Erasmo Ramirez. They were counting on him, and now, you're talking about him starting to throw at the end of spring training as far as the bullpen goes, and who knows how long it's going to take and if everything goes well. But it's going to be tough on the A's. It was going to be tough on them anyway.
All right, let's move to the Rangers. And this is like, what? Matt Moore, Doug Fister, Bartolo Colon, Tim Lincecum all signed in the offseason to try to figure. I mean, it's like, what, just throw a dart, see what sticks?
Yeah, it's a very interesting cast of characters, and it's a lot different than what we've seen, you know, with the Texas Rangers, you know, being in the AL West for so long. But you know, you got to look too that there's still some options out there. Whether you know, with the Mariners, with the Oakland A's, or whoever it may be, there's still some options out there. When you look at, you know, obviously Alex Cobb was looking for that multi-year deal, hasn't quite come around yet. Cahill, Garza, R.A. Dickey. Now I'm throwing some names out there, but there's some serviceable pitchers that can really help your rotation out.
Ubaldo Jimenez, another name in that mix. Mike, do you think that they're gonna just all of a sudden go like wildfire here in the last week and a half?
You're talking about the Rangers, or just?
I'm sorry, just the pitchers that still haven't been signed, the free agent pitchers.
I don't know about the last week and a half. I think if you look at the way that, because of the extra days that are off, and we've already talked about with the Mariners, they don't need a fifth starter until, I believe it was April 14th was the date. So I don't think that there's going to be maybe a lot that has to happen necessarily right at the end of camp, but I can't see how those guys, the names that Ryan just mentioned, aren't with somebody, if not by the end of spring training in the early part of the season.
All right, Mike, specifically about those Texas Rangers and some of the guys, again, that we mentioned them signing. What do you make of what they're trying to do there?
Well, again, they need help, and they're hoping, I think, more than anything, is that they catch lightning in a bottle with one of those guys that can really help them out, because there's not a lot of pitching for a lot of these clubs, and so I think that they're just going to take a shot at it and see what happens. That's the way I look at it, and why not? You know, you can always use extra arms.
The one team we didn't talk about, the Houston Astros, and enough said, they're just fine. All right, Seattle still leads it 7-0. We're back after this.
His Cactus League debut looked awfully good, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah, he did. He hit the ball hard a couple of times, drove in a run. Had a really good day. More than anything, good to see him healthy and back in the lineup.
Missing all the way up until now. Cleaning up a bone spur in his hand, needing a brief procedure. It's good news for Scott Service and company to see him in the lineup today and producing. Daniel Vogelbach leads things off for the Mariners in the bottom of the 8th. A walk and a home run earlier today. Rare strikeout as well for Daniel. Felix Pena, the new pitcher. Deals ball one. Pulled over to Chris Carter at first base. One out. Here's Adam Law. Batting for Beckham. Law now 28 years old. Came up in the Dodgers organization. Looks at a 2-1 count. Shoots this high out to right field for out number 2. And I'm like, this is the first time that I've seen you since one of my favorite possible things in baseball happened for the Mariners. You're excited to talk about this, aren't you?
I'm not sure where you're going.
I think you know exactly where I'm going. Edwin Diaz threw an immaculate inning. Yes. And I know it's spring training.
Last night.
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, okay.
I remember like it was last night, though.
It's your favorite thing.
It's my favorite thing. And I feel like my enthusiasm for this makes you like it even less.
I'm just amused by you.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
For those who
he
don't,
has looked great this spring,
he's
by
looked
the way.
fantastic. 9 pitches, all strikes. Strikes out the side in order, of course. And again, I know it's spring training, but to do that really at any level, just simply to be able to throw 9 straight strikes is one thing that's impressive enough.
True.
And then to be able to just carve through a lineup like that, even if it's this time of year, even if it's in the Cactus League, that was really fun to watch from Edwin Diaz.
Now, I wasn't at that game. I had that game off. And when that actually happened, did your excitement go out over the airwaves?
I believe it did. I believe so.
I know it did.
I stood up and there was a dual fist pump in the air.
Yeah.
And I just felt like.
Did anybody have any idea why you were so
excited? I looked around and everybody's like, just calm down, man. What are you doing? Even Diaz, who could hear me from the booth, said, hey, Goldsmith, it's all right. That ends the inning. We go to the 9th. It really is pretty cool. Mariners 3 outs away from a win.
At the Lexus Command Performance Sales Event.
start the ninth. Phelps, a new pitcher for the Mariners, but we're going to take you down inside the Mariners dugout right now and say hello to Daniel Vogelback. Daniel, man, it has been so much fun watching you play as you have a shadow here. What has this spring training been like for you? You've just been out of sight, man.
It's been fun. It's a great group of guys that, it makes it fun coming to the park every day to compete, and it makes coming to the park fun. And when it's fun, and playing's a lot easier.
This is a lot of pressure, I have to believe, Daniel.
Why is that? Skip.
Better give the right answer. That's why.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we should re-ask that question or something. I don't know.
I think he liked your triple threat pose that you got. You're ready to answer any question we throw your way.
You're having a great spring. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? Just kind of your mindset coming into camp and what you wanted to accomplish this spring.
I wanted to come in and compete. I wanted to come in with a different attitude, an attitude of that I belong, and trying to just be myself, and that's being aggressive and playing the game that I've always played my whole life, and not trying to make it anything more, anything less, and just have fun. If I have fun, it's when I'm at my best. I'm just trying to smile every day and enjoy it as well as playing in the backyard.
Hey, we know that you wanted to come into camp being more aggressive at the plate. Jerry has talked about that. Scott has talked about it. It's one thing to have a plan. It's another thing to really put that plan into action like you have. How big of a change has that been for you at the Dish this year?
It's something that needed to be done. In AAA, I can be really selective and really picky and, get behind and really fight back sometimes. But, in the big leagues, it's the best pitchers in the world. And obviously they're there for a reason. And their stuff's a lot better. So, if I get a pitch to hit, I need to drive it and, look to do damage early. And, if I get behind, then I have to deal with that. But, it's just being aggressive. And for me to help the team win, it's going to be for me to drive runs in and, hit balls in the gap. And, that for me to do that, I'm going to have to, look early and get fastballs to hit over the plate.
When you look at this Mariners lineup and how stacked this lineup can be, who have you enjoyed, since you've come over to the Mariners from the Cubs organization, who have you enjoyed being around the most in terms of a mentor on this team and somebody who's kind of helped take you under the wing?
Everybody's been so good. The veterans here are awesome, and the way they go about their business and the way they really, make you feel at home is, makes playing very easy. And, Seager's been very good to me, not only just about, baseball stuff, but things that can help me. And he's been really on me about my swing and, helping me, get into the right positions and, just all of them teaching you the right way to play the game. And can't thank them enough. And like I said, it makes coming to the park and it makes playing really easy.
You feel good about your Gators and against the Red Raiders today?
I hope so. I really hope we can get a win.
I mean, you're like the bracketologist of the clubhouse, Bogey. If you start talking college hoops with this guy, he's going to break down everybody's defense and everybody's backcourt and front court. No?
My bracket's already. If I had to do a bracket, Virginia lost. I thought they were going to go a long way.
Well, you're not the only one. Hey, Bogey, it's been a lot of fun watching you play. Thank you for the time, especially on a long day like this. We really appreciate it.
Keep it going, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Daniel Vogelback. Now, he's been very humble. You start talking college hoops with this guy. Good night. I mean, you can stash away the next 30 minutes. He's dialed in. Mariners 1 out away here this afternoon.
A little bit surprised to hear him say, I hope they get a win.
I know he was. He didn't feel too good against the number 3 seeded Red Raiders at Texas Tech.
No, it didn't seem like it.
He and Zunino, the 2 Florida guys, of course. Zunino going to the university. Over the head at second base, that's Adam Law. That brings up a familiar face from not that long ago. Chris Carter. Remember him with the A's and the Astros. Saw him in interleague play even with the Brewers a little bit. Now Carter 2 years ago with Milwaukee led the league. Mike, he hit 41 home runs, and that winter released. There was a time where 41 home runs really meant a lot. That meant job security over everything.
Yeah, it was a bit surprising overall. I guess the one thing with him is he will swing and miss quite a bit.
Led the league in strikeouts that year,
but
too.
Tremendous power.
And in the era of the leg kick, which we've talked about, my memories of Chris Carter swinging a bat is that he barely brings his front foot off the dirt.
Exactly.
It's just easy power.
Yes, stand still and somehow get the barrel through there, and if he catches it, it's going to leave the yard.
Ball and 2 strikes. Phelps closing this one down today for the Mariners. Mariners will be back at it tomorrow. Chance to see Rob Whalen once again on the mound.
He was really good his last time out in 5 innings, 9 strikeouts.
Taking on the Indians here in Peoria. Another day game. Full count. Rolled over to third base. Rizzo helps in this game. Mariners win 7-0.
Good to see Marco Gonzalez again having a great spring. 5 2/3 today. It just gave up the 1 hit. Mike Zunino with a long home run. And again, Daniel Vogelback, what a spring he's putting together, hitting over 400, his 4th home run, which leads the club. That happened this afternoon.
Good stuff today. Mariners win it 7-0. Back at it tomorrow. 1:10 the first pitch. We're on the air at 1 o'clock here on Root Sports. Glad you could join us for Mariners Cactus League Baseball. Mariners win it 7-0.